Motherwell versus Rangers post-match analysis from last night, and the 1-1 draw at Fir Park. I really just want to say a massive, massive congratulations to Motherwell and Jens Berthel Askou, and the way they play has kind of revolutionised what Scottish football is about. I think highlighting a few different things. Callum Ward's starting position, so high, provoking pressure from one of the centre forwards to create the spare man in midfield, or as this case, the centre back stepping out. Motherwell are always trying to find the spare player, always trying to invite pressure from the opponent. It doesn't matter whether it's Livingston at home, Peterhead in the Cup, or Rangers and Celtic. They are willing to go toe to toe and prove that their style and the way their philosophy is built can stand up against any team in the league. They're a bit unlucky here. Magoma does really well in the press, but they almost get out 3v3, 4v4 on the back line. But they've got so many players in the right central areas to position. They're so happy to reset here. Now, this is just a great advert for Callum Ward. His short passing 79% was great, but his long passing being 1 and 2 is phenomenal, because it allows you to get out tricky areas whereby Rangers think they're trapped to press. And that's why it's so important to have midfielders coming towards the ball, because it creates those spaces in behind. Now, that is a wonderful pass from Stephen O'Donnell that breaks the line, and this is where Motherwell want to succeed. They want 3v3 on the back line with the other fullback being trapped. Now, they do not get the through ball here because Rangers recover. They get it out to O'Donnell, who's continued his run in. Mikey Moore lets slip a little bit his concentration. Decent ball into the box, the Rangers don't clear. Ends up with one of the best chances of the game very early on. Motherwell could have easily been 1-0 up, which is in the same story for the two previous meetings between the sides. Motherwell again at 1-0 down. They don't change. They don't start going more direct. They don't start trying to invite pressure. So in this situation, what they hope is that Raskin jumps in. Raskin doesn't need to get involved here. He is covering the midfielder that the pass actually goes to jump into an already 3v1 situation that Rangers have with Dio, Chukwani and Moore. Now they've got the chance to transfer because of Raskin jumping in there. Now it's just Motherwell gambling on teams not having that discipline or structure around them that they can pop it round, and very unlucky there with the cross in. Second half, Danny Rowe talked about changing their press and having more control. I just feel like Motherwell were always comfortable. Always say the same thing with possession-based teams. Comfort breeds confidence. If you have more of the ball and more touches, the more likely you are for your passing to do so well. Motherwell using the extra midfielder, getting wrong side. Raskin wasn't sure whether to be close to Priestman or whether to drop with Slattery. In this case, Slattery comes off the left and Bees in behind, and that was where the midfield battle was overrun the whole game pretty much for me. Without Motherwell really creating massive openings, they were always with the extra man. And again, for this year, the numbers they get around second balls is so impressive. You have no real opportunity to get out here chucking a ball down the line. It's why so many teams take their throw-ins back towards goal and centre halves to try and get control of the game, because all you're doing here is allowing the team to pick up second balls, third balls, and because Motherwell defensive structure and rest defence, which we'll get onto, is so good, it's almost impossible. Look at those two central players right now on the ball with nobody on them. The press is kind of laboured. They've got time again to get confident, to get composed, to get comfort on the ball, to move Rangers about. Mikey Moore jumps here, but nobody joins him in the press. Nobody. Everyone's kind of close to the man. Even when Motherwell play a slack pass, there's nobody there. The only press Rangers want to do is on the side. But looking at it, that's John Suter following somebody into the right wing area for press. So Motherwell's rotations are pulling Rangers all over the park when Rangers are trying to go man for man. Now, this is the other thing that I love about Motherwell. They are willing to put the ball into dangerous areas high and direct, but it's setting them up for success because they're doing it in those areas where they've already provoked 4 or 5 to press and they can cover up. And this is the bit that I could not commend Motherwell enough about. It's the amount of times they win the first phase, the second phase and the third phase by having great rest defence, by having good pressure on the ball, by having good built up structured attacks. And it's just so well coached that even here when it gets cleared, Chermiti's 2v1 here. Motherwell will always have the advantage. They've got 2 defensive mids when their best situation. Motherwell will start to chase the game a little bit and you'll start to see how they don't do that. But the smothering and suffocation of the opposition means that attacks, waves of attacks, second, third phase attacks are happening consistently. And Rangers at one point had a 15-minute spell where I think they had like 22% possession. That's utter domination that I haven't seen outside of Europe or Celtic perhaps dominate Rangers. The referee here stops Motherwell transition into a 4v4, 5v4, and that could have been critical at this point. Just another example of what Jens Berthel Askou talked about referees not necessarily understanding the flow of games and how going to hold back Scottish football. But the patience and control of the pass, and when they went direct, when it was on to go direct, how they then popped this off back into space was just brilliant. They get the ball wide here. James Tavernier cuts it out. But again, when James Tavernier lifts his head and realises he has to go long, because Rangers are so deep at this point, Motherwell always have the +1 advantage. Always throughout the game, minimum +1 defending. So even when they don't have that box 4 that we showed earlier, they have the +1, so that if a ball goes in behind, they can be caught. It only starts to get stretched man for man later on in the game when they're really chasing the equaliser. But again, this midfielder picks up the ball, 2 Rangers players within 5 yards of him, nobody puts pressure. And I'll keep going back to that same thing again. Comfort breeds confidence. The more touches you have of the ball, the more confident you are, the more success rate you're going to have with your actions, whether it's passing, long passing, assists, crosses, etc. On that switch there, if Rangers had been 4-3-3 and pressing, you would have jumped on that pass. But they stand off, they drop back into shape, they let Motherwell play. Even when it gets cleared, Rangers again are all over it, smothering. James Tavernier only has one option to hook. You've got a 2v1 against Chamite, who actually battles really well for this. But again, you've got to fancy defenders more often than not to combine and create when they've got a 2v1. Rangers actually get away here, and we pick up second ball. But overall, Motherwell, I mean, look, great goalkeeping to get out there, but Motherwell only have one person really to contend with in the box. So when they're attacking, when they're defending, when they're transitioning, they always seem to have players in the right area. Then they go straight back to having ball possession again, playing football, in control of the game. And it only really leaves Rangers with the opportunity to step off because they don't know when to press, how to press and where to press. And again, picking up second balls all the time, and it's just from their structure. Nobody gives up. They go again. Between minute 58 and probably the red card for Motherwell was as utterly dominant as I've seen a side against Rangers. Genuinely, it was just complete control from start to finish. Great block here, but just more chances of Motherwell picking up, Rangers being, I wouldn't say too deep because I understand it's a lead, Motherwell are a good side, but it did feel like you were kind of stuck. Now this is the one time where Motherwell almost got caught. If Chamite gets a touches away there, that was just a lapse in concentration by Stephen Welsh, which is expected because you're asking to dominate for 90 minutes. There's going to be a lapse in concentration. There's going to be a control issue, which is why Motherwell will always try and defend +1. Get asked this loads about leaving defenders man for man. You will have a lapse in concentration. These are not peak AC Milan defenders we're talking about here. These are SPFL level defenders, and with that they'll become little slips in concentration. Even here with Rangers, the fact we went to 4-4-2 with 2 strikers, does Raskin go here? Is Nadiri expected to drop in? Is Gigas, the centre half, expected to step in to just? Nobody does it. A quick 1-2, great chance at goal, and another great save by Jack Butland, by the way, who Rangers with the ball, however, we know about Motherwell's pressure. Now, that there is only 2 of 12 completed passes by Jack Butland in that whole game. 2 of 12 for short distribution. 41% of short passes were successful. 59% not successful. And when you see Rangers do this, they're a team that's capable of breaking lines and breaking the press from Motherwell and getting into an advantageous part of the pitch with overloads. They keep Raskin and Dio behind the line of the Motherwell press, the 6 press. You're onto the back 4 now. A great run by Raskin, but in truth it was the only real bit of football we've seen from Rangers. Very similar to the build-up that created the corner against Hearts for the chopped off goal. For me though, it's so risk-averse. It's a risk-averse approach for Rangers. There's 0 central options. It's a very horseshoe approach. It allows Motherwell to force Rangers wide, which is where they want to go. It allows them to press those central areas and create overloads that if you ever try and play those passes, because Rangers don't put numbers in there, you can get out. Even there, Raskin's 1v4 in there. John Suter, who has, such an underrated arsenal for longer passes, picks out a great pass. But Rangers end up back in the same spot. For me here, if Nico Raskin moves into that central area, it stops Slattery on the outside stepping into the press he wants. It then means Maswanisi has to worry about his shoulder. Just doing that movement creates space for everyone, but he pulls it into the area Tavernier's in. But once Slattery kind of shuts him off, there's no real place for Rangers to go here. They can only go Raskin back to the goalkeeper or Raskin into Tavernier with players closing down that side. You need to try and fill people in those central areas so you can at least ask the pressing team where they want to go. Again, Motherwell just did so well to trap Rangers onto their side. This is where I really don't like the horseshoe approach, and where you don't fill people in the central areas, because if you lose that ball and it slips inside, the opposition's going to have 2 or 3 players that can pick up that ball. It just leaves you so open to bad transitions and waves of attack, and they'll be able to turn around. The flip side of that is Rangers with the likes of Gassama, Moore, actually have some really, Raskin and Dio as well have talented individuals. Rangers are unlucky here. This could have very much been the counter-attack right after half-time if Gassama can get in there that kills the game. And then another transition here where Tavernier plays well in Adiri and Rangers counter. Good hold-up play here. Pops out to Tavernier, Moore underlaps. Rangers get an opportunity to score. Actually, probably good goalkeeping shutting down the run across from Chamiti. I think if maybe he pulled it back though, Gassama was on the penalty spot for a tap-in. But I think too often for Rangers, the desire like this to go long and not have players in the area for second balls, like it's not on Jack Butland to decide not to go long. If Rangers decide to go long, you need to put people around the area to win the ball and suffocate that play. But when Tavernier picks up that ball after the third or fourth transition, there's 5 Motherwell players around him. And even late on, 3 minutes is a long time for me to score goals. I think teams can build up and score goals in 3 minutes. It takes 10 seconds to score a goal maximum for a team build up. We've seen that with the first goal. This just looked like a team completely devoid of ideas as far as I'm concerned, launching it in. Miovski was offside here, so when it broke to him it killed it, but it just looked like a team that didn't really know how to play. Now this is us after the red card, and I just want to show Motherwell again, that pass from Callum Ward is exceptional. If he was English Premier League here, we'd be raving about how good that picket is to create that 2v1, just to then kind of play the dual role in midfield, is breaking in, and it's the 3v3 we've seen 11v11. Motherwell were the ones that definitely adapted to being down to 10 men better than Rangers did. I think Rangers, maybe psychologically with the subs that were made, decided the game was done and all they had to do was see it out. Motherwell, however, were the aggressor, and although Danny Rolls said they went a lot more direct after the 10 men, I don't particularly see it. I felt I seen Callum Ward come higher, even higher in his position than earlier. Just kind of played both central mid positions. He was jumping in as a 10, he was jumping in as the 6-8. He was doing both to try and help build out. Motherwell tried to still move Rangers around. They're very much the team. They had the most possession, they had the best chances, but this is what I'm talking about here. The goalkeeper now steps up into a middle centre half area, which means you only need Justin centre mid. You only need him in there. And there's just no intensity from Rangers to go and kill this off. It's why I think they should have switched to the 4-3-3 to stop this happening, to stop Motherwell being able to build out in a back three with the goalkeeper so high, because it made it too easy for them to switch sides with the ball, and they got into that little bit of pattern, and the midfielders can then pop out into different areas, which allows them complete control again of the game. The fact that he takes this touch and nobody in the Rangers side is putting massive pressure on a player where he's back to goal now, taking a touch, and instead actually drop off him when he turns back towards you. And we're lucky this is offside because there's a very good pass into the dangerous area, but it rightly is offside. But it's just concerning how much control they had. And again, this was from a free kick that Miovski had given away, but Motherwell are still finding a spare man in here with a man down, and it's because Rangers had dropped into that back five. I don't know which one of the three centre mids are meant to be picking up. It's just all too easy, and this is the cross that then leads to the corner where the goal scored. 4v3 at the back post when you have an extra man, when you've already switched to a back five, reeks of a team that's never worked on it. It reeks of a team that don't work on it enough, and it feels like a team that maybe don't have the ability to withstand constant pressure like they received in the last 30 minutes, even when it went down to 10 men. For me, this is tricky, but I think the best teams, when I watch Arsenal defending, you clear your box every time this goes back. Rangers have decided the 18-yard box is the line that they're willing to gamble on, so nobody really leaves. They stop and wait for it to come back in. There isn't much pressure on, but the minute that's happened, you can't have people stepping out the pitch. You have to have everyone in that box defending. You need to do one or the other. You need to clear the box, or you need to defend the box. we don't really do either, and I think that comes from the middle ground of how do you go about seeing out a game. Does a manager want you to drop off? The flip side, Motherwell equalised and didn't drop back. Motherwell went and pressed Rangers, made sure they didn't get a pattern, made sure they didn't get comfort. They were making sure that everything Rangers did was direct and played into their hands, because if Rangers did want to play, they would have found an extra man somewhere, because they had an extra man. That would have involved maybe Jack Butland doing what Callum Ward did and stepping in and letting players go a bit higher. Rangers never did any of that. Rangers just played into the hands of the team that were down to 10 men. It was direct, ironically, because it was Rangers that were more direct than Motherwell when they went the man up. And I'm going back to this clip because it's now Motherwell's pressure I'm looking at. With the man down, they don't really have maybe a central forward. They're maybe doing like a 4-2-3 without the one in front. But they block off the central areas the same way they tried to do for the Rangers opening goal. They block off central because they know that Rangers are going to have to go on the outside or they're going to have to go long. And Motherwell are quite happy to try and pick up every second ball and first ball from there and hope that it doesn't work. Rangers caught offside here. And then the thing that concerns me is just how much opportunity Motherwell had to pick up this ball on the edge of the box again when it's went 1-1, chasing the title. Motherwell are still committing 3 players to the box, 2 players on the edge, still picking up this third ball here. Luckily it's a poor touch, Rangers win it, Rangers break. But again, it's when Askou nicks past this player, 3 players are going to put pressure on him. They don't stand off. They are not letting him go down the line. They are going and meeting him where the pressure is required to make sure that he cannot get a run at Motherwell's defence and force him to do something tricky. It's a brilliant pass by Askou. It's an unfortunate touch, but we still have the ball. It breaks, but Motherwell have numbers back. They're getting numbers back. They're defending well. And Motherwell were a better bent run here from Masmanisi from being away and attacking.